Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Anthony Gambale, and I wanted to thank you for attending the webinar. I really appreciate your time, and we're going to get to the material as quick as possible because I know everybody's busy and they want to get about their daily business. And I think you'll enjoy this webinar. This is one in a series that we're going to be doing over the next several months. If you're watching this live, you'll have a link to those, to that scheduling. If not, we'll just send it out to anyone who registers for this webinar in the form of an email. So this topic we're going to be talking about here is research and development tax credits. Okay, we're going to cover the basics, qualifying activities and expenses, calculating potential savings for your business, and of course, claiming and things of that nature. Again, my name is Anthony Gambale. We're going to get right into the next slide and move forward here. So let's talk about an introduction to research and development tax credits. Okay, they've been around a while, but most people haven't heard of them. We're talking about a long while, right? 1981. That's a long time, right? Over 4 decades it's been around here. So as the years and decades go on, it's gone through many different changes, and the whole reason for R&D at that time was for us to be, meaning the United States, competitive on a global scale. Okay, if you remember, if you're like me, I'm in my latter 50s here. We were doing a lot of outsourcing was starting to happen. A lot of jobs moving outside the country. So the federal government at that time, Ronald Reagan, he implemented this R&D credit to allow businesses to be on the cutting edge of technology. He didn't want the United States to fall behind because of what was going on a global scale, right? So this was taken advantage by large companies. We're talking IBM, big companies like that, DuPont. Can't say Microsoft, like it went around yet. That's how we're dating ourselves here. But it was for those large companies to innovate and create and be competitive on a global scale, right? As it's gone through those first few years and decades, right, it was always like renewed. It wasn't something that was around for a long time. It was just renewed and voted on by Congress as time went on, right? And went through some changes in 2003, which made it a lot easier for smaller businesses, right, small to mid-sized businesses, to now participate in qualifying for these credits because they eliminated discovery and testing and all that kind of stuff that you needed to do prior to that. Again, they were looking to broaden uh, our country on a global scale, right? Think about where we were in 2003, right? The internet was just getting going, right? A lot of smaller companies were starting in technology, and they wanted them to be able to, again, get into those markets and get tax benefits because of that. Okay, I went through some changes in 14 and 2015. After 35 years, it became permanent. Right, it is now permanent and it is there. Okay, which is fantastic. It's not going to end. This is going to be a credit that's going to be going on forever, which is great. Okay, changes in 2017 and the Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act have made some changes there as well. But the biggest one that we've had is in 2025. So let's talk about July 4th, 2025. What happened? Well, within the big, beautiful bill, a couple of things happened. One, they expanded the credits, right? So for businesses who've already applied for credits, they now have more credits on the table. Okay. What they also did is they took away the amortization which came in 2022, right? Where you had to amortize it, right? Back then in 2022, they made an amortization schedule. So let's say you buy a piece of equipment, whatever that may be for your business, right? Now you've got this asset, and to write that off on your taxes, you had to amortize it, right? Depreciate it over a course of years and amortize it, right, as an asset of the business. They considered R&D credits as an asset of the business as well. and they wanted you to amortize it over 5 years. It was very complex and very very confusing. So they got rid of that. Amortization is was taking away. So they got rid of amortization. So now we've got greater credits. Amortization is gone. Now, if you have applied for credits in the past, you can now go back and unamortize those prior returns and claim for the credits that they added, so more credits. Okay. If you have not, if you have not applied for your credits yet, you have till July 4th of this year, 2026, to amend your returns for the prior 3 years. Okay. If you wait till July 5th, then you can only begin with with this year, the current year that we're in, 2026. Next tax season, which is a year from now, you'll be able to start your R&D credit. So you have to wait. You'll lose 4 years worth of credit. So there's a ticking time clock on this that needs to get done as quick as possible. So let's dive into potential qualifying activities. Right, many business owners and CEOs and whatnot that I've talked to, they'll start the conversation with, I don't think my business really qualifies. Or just have recently happened with a client of mine. Are you developing a new or improved product or a process? Okay, think about that. Are you in construction? Are you building various things? Are you in pharmaceuticals? Are you a farm where you're constantly changing your process of growing, uh, different fertilizers, different watering techniques, crop rotation, all this kind of stuff. And so it's a very, very wide, a very, very broad scope that you can qualify for within just the developing new, improved processes or a product. Okay. Moving down to the next one, are you developing any software platforms interfacing with your clients? Okay, so let's say you 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 get a software that you buy off the shelf from a company, but it just does not do everything you need it to do. Right? It's a framework, right? It's a chassis, but it doesn't do everything you need to do. So you have to modify it. You need to change it in order for it to be productive with your business. That activity counts. Are you developing new designs, formulas, or techniques? So designs, anyone that does any kind of designs, architectural designs, construction designs, formulas could be just about anything. Perfumes, beer, wine, anything that has any kind of chemistry involved to it uh, falls under formulas or techniques. What techniques are you trying to improve or make better? Right, that also counts. Are you experimenting with new materials or coatings? Right, this happens a lot in the construction industry. Right, I'm working with a roofing company now that they're moving into siding, so they're going to be experimenting with new materials. Okay, so that's another thing to for them to do for next year, right? Are you developing prototypes or machines? Right? Are you creating something that will be destroyed in order to see if it works or not work? And then as we get into the larger companies, you're developing automated production lines or mechanical robots or anything along that line. Those count. Okay, so those are the activities. So what kind of expenses qualify? Okay, well, one, salaries and wages, right from your W-2 box one on your Schedule C of line 31, they count. So if you've ever seen, I'm dating myself here, the movie with Tom Hanks, Big, right? He's a kid, right? He's just a little kid. He goes to a fair and he makes a wish to be big, right? So I can't remember how old he was, maybe 10 years old. All of a sudden, now he's 30 years old, right? He's a 10-year-old brain in a 30-year-old body, right? So he gets a job at a toy store, at a toy manufacturing company. And they think he's this genius, right? Because he's he seems to know what kids like because he is a kid, right? So there's a scene where he's at this big conference table. I don't know how many people are at it, maybe 15, 20 people. I can't recall the number. And they're talking about product. They're talking about toys and why this works and why that works. That is a qualifying R&D expense. So everyone in that meeting that worked for the company, their wages and salaries would count towards uh, R&D, right? However often they do those meetings, those are the wages. Okay, subcontractors, 65% of subcontractor costs can be done for research and development. I'm just finishing working the last return for a contracting company that all their work is subcontracted out, 100%, right? They just import the materials, they quote the job, they spec it, whatever. Subcontractors come in, they do everything, right? They do nothing themselves, meaning they touch no hammers, no nails, no glue. Uh, Subcontractors do anything, and they're looking at several $100,000 worth of credits. Okay, any supplies or materials that were consumed or destroyed throughout the discovery process, right, also counts, and of course, cloud computing is also an activity. So now we know what activities could possibly qualify and what expenditures qualify. Let's talk about the uh, the, the testing, right? So there's a four-part test, a criteria test that the federal government uh, you need to pass in order to qualify for these research and development credits, right? And the state also has similar. So what are they? One, you must be aiming to improve something. I'm looking to improve something. It has to involve science or technology, right? It has to have a level of uncertainty, not sure if this is the right way, if this is going to work, okay? And it also needs to include testing or experimentation. So a permanent purpose. Your goal is to improve something. So in your business, are you improving something, trying to make it better, stronger, cheaper, greener along the way, right? Okay. Uh, Maybe last longer, more reliable, whatever the case, right? Elimination of uncertainty. Okay, you might be trying to figure out how to improve a design or the way that something functions or the way that it interfaces with your with your community or your clients or your customers, right? Don't know if this is the right way to do it or this is the best way because there may be a better way to do it, you know, next time, right? Things are always evolving. Think of construction, right? Homes are built differently now than they were years ago. Electrical stuff, all that stuff has changed. Technical in nature, okay. The work must be based in science or engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, computers, or technical design, right? And then we have to be a level of experimentation. All work must involve testing, trying designs out. The biggest one here is trial and error, right? I'm going to do it this way. Not sure if that's the best way to do it. Uh, and then you move on forward and you make your adjustments that way, right? Trial and error seems to be the biggest one. Okay, so any of these activities here would fall in your purview. You're good to go. Okay, so ideal candidates for studies. Okay, I'm just going to rattle off some industries off the top of my head, right? We already talked about construction. Anyone in construction, um, anyone in architecture, in the medical field, dentistry, right? If you're a dentist, that industry is always changing, different techniques and things of that nature. Okay, we have some dentists that we're currently working with that are doing really really well. Um, Moving into agriculture, if you're growing something out of the ground, chances are you qualify. I have a client that I'm working with. They actually creates different types of flowers, uh, gene splicing, whatever. He told me once it took him 15 years to get a certain color of a flower. Right? That's all R&D. Right? That's all R&D. Um, if you're a brewery or a winery or a distillery, that also counts. Right? So it just goes on and on and on. If you're unsure, just reach out and we can have a short discussion. Okay. Um, uh, our 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 process is self-guided that we use. It's integrated, comprehensive software that we use. It's a comprehensive study. It creates everything needed to do the return for you. A lot of the tools are automated. It's all automated, as a matter of fact. And of course, the most important part is audit defense, right? The reason why we have audit defense in our process is the fact that at the end you get a huge report depending on your business. It's could be 30 to 60 pages. Okay, let's talk about the state credits. There are also states that have R&D credits as well. As you can see here, the ones in yellow that are highlighted qualify. One of the companies that I just mentioned, they're in North Carolina, which there is no state credits. If there was a state credit, they would probably be over $500,000 because again, we're going back 4 years, right? Because we're before July 4th of 2026. They calculate it a little bit differently. Some states have greater credits, believe it or not, than federal credits. The federal credits are pretty massive, right? California makes the federal credits look like a joke. It's amazing what California does. So if you're in one of these yellow states, you have state credits. Each one does it a little bit different. The four-part test is kind of the trigger, and of course they calculate them differently. Some states don't allow you to amend the return. Some have time frames by certain dates of the year. Some have an X amount of dollars that they set aside, and first come first serve, right? So definitely don't procrastinate. If your state is on here, we definitely want to have a conversation as soon as possible. So let's look at some case studies. Okay, so here is a Midwest farm. Now, what I want you to pay attention here is the amount of employees. So if you're thinking it's just me, it's just me, my business is just me, or me and my son. This happens to be that a father and two sons. Um, it's not about employee size. It's about what your business is, what it does, and what activities qualify for research and development. Right here. So here is this particular farm. These are 3 years worth of studies. Okay, 21, 22, 23. Up until this point, I think the 24 was done, but I don't have those numbers. Um, Here we have state and federal credits. So as you can see here, they're looking at about $7 million, which is nothing to sneeze at, especially in agriculture, in the farming community. You hear about it all the time, how farmers are struggling because of this, because of that, or weather change, or whatever happens. Here, it could be a windfall for a farmer. Okay. Now, in addition to um, credit for prior years, right? What about if you're a new company, right? If you're a new company, you can offset with payroll taxes. So here's an example of a new company, really not profitable yet, not really paying taxes, but they can offset their their expenses and use those credits towards payroll taxes, right? They had $460,000 worth of qualifying research expense, right? But they have no income tax. There's no federal income tax. Everybody has FICA, right? Everyone has to pay the payroll taxes. So boom, there you go. Of course, this state did not have there's no state credit there for that, just federal. So at this point here, if you're wondering, well, does my business qualify? Let's have a 15-minute eligibility call. You can scan that code. That'll take you to my calendar, or you could go to this web page that is displayed. That code takes you to that page. We'll schedule a brief phone call and see if your business possibly qualifies for this credits, and we'll go from there. So again, I said I'd do it as quick as possible. We can win through it as quick as possible. Any questions? Feel free to reach out. I'll probably reach out to you via email or phone call within the upcoming days here. If this is a recording, um, on the page that this recording will be displayed on will be contact information, scheduling a form. There should be a link to click for there as well. Look forward to speaking with everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.